I have always enjoyed a good card game. Whether it's poker, blackjack, cribbage, even Uno, I'm in. So I wanted to build something that I could house my cards in and make it look nice and classy at the same time. So I built this, voila. I can put 2 decks of playing cards in here and a deck of Uno cards. Everything is inset and easy to get out. If you think you might want to build your own or just see how I built this, you're going to want to stay tuned so you don't miss a beat. For wood selection on this project, I wasn't really set on using any particular thing other than the Paduak, right? I really like how it looks. It's that orangish red color and it's pretty. I did want something that had a good contrast with it and was dark though. So I headed down to Woodcraft and I chose Brazilian cherry. Really, really cool. And the piece of wood that I grabbed had brilliant grain in it. It was just amazing. I fell in love with it. It had a little bit of a twist in it, but I thought, I'm gonna mill it out anyways, it'll be fine. It wasn't really. The first time I went ahead and did this is what happened. The twist came back with a vengeance. Now, since I wanted to build this with a wrapped grain around the edges, I had to start from scratch. I couldn't just replace this one piece. So that was a little bit of a bummer, but definitely a learning tool for me. Don't fall in love with the grain, especially if it has twisting. To inset the cards, I wanted to make something that I didn't have to glue together and basically pierce windows into it for the cards to sit in. Now, I wasn't sure the best way to do that. I could have used a scroll saw, but I wanted nice straight lines. So I ended up using the router table, which worked out really well, except for the first time I did it, I had some issues where I would bump over my lines a little bit, so then it looked real hokey. That's where the idea came from, to put this wrap of Paduak, 1/8 of an inch Paduak, all the way around them. It was to take care of those mistakes and make it look clean. The end of the day, I ended up doing this piece twice, much like the whole case of the box, because I wanted it done right. And the second time when I went into it, I actually planned and designed for this 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch total oversize on my card decks. End of the day, it worked out great. Very happy that mistake came about, which is a good lesson learned, right? When a mistake is presented to you, just think of a way to make it look good. So it's not a mistake, unless you tell everybody, like I'm doing. Since this box, these boards have a slight twist in them still, it threw the box out of square. I know, you're shocked, because it looks perfect. It's not. So what I had to do with this insert, I wanted it to fit nice. I didn't want a bunch of slop in it. So I made the insert oversized, pulled my straight corners that I knew were tight, and then registered those corners with the inlay laying on top of it. And then I went in and sort of hand planed each side to get it to fit nice and tight in there. I did miter splines once before on the growth chart that I did for my daughter. I made a maple frame and then used brass splines on the miters, and I cut those by hand with a saw and chisel, and the results were fine, but it wasn't the best way to do it. So on this box, I knew I was going to do mitered splines. So this time I did some research, built one of these little jigs here for my table saw, and this worked like a champ. Probably took me an hour to build this fixture and, you know, 5 minutes to cut these little slices in. Absolutely perfect the first time.